heartbeat rhythm in the air. Glick's house, a vibrant lair, where melodies entwine and flow. Musicians gather, spirits glow. Rockin' interview, stories shared. Chill hangouts, no time spared. From soulful whispers to a roaring sound, music unites on hallowed ground. Strings and drums in harmony, voices rise in sweet decree. Jawless blend of sonic art, touching souls, a brand new start. Rockin' interview, stories shared. Chill hangouts, no time spared. From soulful whispers to a roaring sound, music unites on hallowed ground. All things music, a vibrant call for one and all to give their all in this sanctuary where dreams ignite. Music's power burning bright. Rockin' interview, stories shared. Chill hangouts, no time spared. From soulful whispers to a roaring sound, music unites on hallowed ground. Glick's house of music, a place to be for every heart, wild and free. Music's embrace, forever strong, a symphony of life all night long.
I've been out here on a mission, just give me ammunition, call me the comeback kid. I've been giving up. Gonna take my
Hell yeah. God, everything's fucked up back here. You're going to have to excuse me. Hell yeah. Brand new music from our girl, Jules in the How, Within the End. Go ahead and check it out. If you haven't already, go stream it. It's everywhere, guys. And she's, of course, kicking ass as always. Anywho, welcome to Glick's House of Music. Or should I say Glick's House of Movies for tonight? Because we're not doing a music interview. We're actually got a really cool guest that you guys might have already seen a couple weeks ago. When we had a cool opportunity on Friday night with Nonsense and Chill to watch Daylight to Dark with the director, Jake C. Young, writer, Roland Jewett, and a couple of the actors that were in the movie. But Jake is joining us back tonight, so we'll bring him up here in just a minute. But you guys know the drill right off the bat. Follow us everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. Shows are live Monday through Sunday. You can find us right there on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Chatter's box is always open, and you guys are always welcome to hang out with us. And you can listen anytime, any place, wherever you listen to podcasts. Because, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are everywhere, literally everywhere. All at the Nonsensical Network, or simply go to bio.link/Nonsensical Network. All them links are there. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share if you'd be so kind. We'd greatly appreciate that. But without further ado, as you guys may have heard a couple weeks ago, my arch nemesis, as I will become the ultimate bad guy in Daylight to Dark 2, the one and only, Jake Young.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on?
What's good, brother? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, I appreciate you for coming on. Thanks again for coming on a couple weeks ago, man. Myself and the guys, we had an absolute blast hanging out with you guys. You guys were so cool. Obviously, I've met Roland before here on Tuesday nights, and he kind of was the one that threw all that together just from the first time we interviewed, because I was like, hey, we do a movie show here. How cool would it be if you come back and we watch the movie?
Yeah.
Didn't think we were going to have the lineup that we had for it, but it was cool to get your guys' commentary and get your guys' insight to the movie and some little behind the scenes and stuff like that. So if you guys haven't listened to that or seen that, it's still up on YouTube, and of course it's on all the podcasting platforms, Nonsense and Chill, where we I won't really say we did a movie premiere. I guess kind of sort of a movie premiere. I don't remember what Blaze called that, but it's
like
up there. You can
commentary, maybe.
Yeah, like a watch party commentary.
Yeah, watch party
like
commentary. Yeah. It was cool.
we did a whole bunch of new stuff that weekend. That was the first time that we were all, three of the major players. Well, Blaze and myself, we've been together a couple times, but like three of the major players on the network here, we're all together under the same roof. And then we did that with you guys Friday night. Then Saturday night we did a watch party for WrestleMania. So it was like a wild and crazy weekend with everything going on and a lot of first happening. And it was just like, welcome to my house. It's a circus now. So I'm sure you know what that's like. I'm sure you've been on set before and had 19 people running 400 different directions, or
dude, that's every movie I make. That's every film I make. It's just so much back and forth. You're just, wrapping your head around it. So
yeah,
been there, done that, man. So yeah, you're all good.
Good evening. Hey, what's going on, Johnny Bog? Shout out to the chat real quick, showing love. Badass up for the music. Thank you guys. Chat, the box is open. You guys, if you have any questions for Jake, please don't be rude and please don't be disrespectful. You know the rules. But you guys are more than welcome to drop your questions in the chat if you'd like. Jake, real quick, right off the bat, how long have you been in the film industry, and kind of what got you rolling in that?
Ah, Man, I've been making film since I was like little kid. So like I've been wanting to make movies for a long time. Uh, but professionally, I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. So I started out, which you and I we talked a little bit about this, before the show began.
Mhm.
Sorry, everyone. Glick and I, we done the interview privately, so you're just out of
Yeah,
luck.
you're not gonna learn anything. We're just gonna hang
Yeah,
out tonight.
yeah. But no, I started making films when I was probably like 13, started doing a bunch of like small stuff and kind of just really vibed the interest. Of course, I kind of come from a family background of filmmaking a little bit, and then it's just sort of something that I myself decided I wanted to do.
Mhm.
Because here where I'm at locally, it's not really a thing. So I kind of started it here, I guess you would say. Nobody had really done it. I'd done some of it in college, and it kind of really gave me more of a start. And when I started doing it in college, it just kind of grew, and it kind of escalated into making some other features. The first big one I made, which is it's still available. I was about 20 when I done it. I was very young, and it was like a super low budget indie flick, a little indie horror movie called Screecher. Okay, yeah, yeah. It was cool. All right, at the time it was cool.
Yeah.
So years go by, I make Night of the Undead, The Dark Room, just a handful of these other movies. I've got to work with some cool people. Diane Franklin from The Dark Room, she was awesome. Getting to work with her because I was a fan of her growing up. I remember seeing her in like Bill and Ted's Excellent
Mhm.
Adventure, and like I remember seeing her in the Amityville movies and that Last American Virgin, and I hated her in that movie when I watched it, but then when I was over there, I was like, you're like the total opposite of that, So she was awesome to work with. But yeah, as time went on, I kind of progressed into making more films, but that first one, that was a big deal for me. And I had it and it bounced around from time to time, and it never actually got released until about 3 years after it was made. And when it got released, they released it as Screecher of the Lagoon, the ultimate extended director's cut, is how they released it. And that is like if you're ever on Tubi and you just need like something to like pass the time, that is like just like what the hell is this, like how did this get on here, that's a fun watch. So if you ever if you're a fan of wrestling, it's got superstar Bill Dundee in it, from Memphis Wrestling. He used to tag team with Jerry Lawler. It's the first movie he was in, and it was cool to get to work with him too. So that kind of got me interested in film, and I started with that one, and then the rest just kind of went from there. And now we just released Daylight to Dark, and I know we watched it a couple weeks ago on the show,
Mhm.
which, like you said, man, that was a really fun time. So if anybody hasn't seen that, there's a lot of really cool things that Glick and the guys from Nonsense and Chill that we had kind of talked about on there, which was I thought that was really interesting because we got to actually talk about things that we didn't actually you didn't actually see during the movie, because we had like so much stuff that had happened like during the film that we've not talked about yet. So it was really cool to kind of be like, well, in this part right here, this and this happened. So that was really really cool. And then we brought on a lot of the other people who some of us had some really interesting stories that it was really cool just to kind of hang out with you guys.
Yeah. No, we had a lot of fun. Drake is still going down. You guys set my girl Audrey up,
Yeah,
took her
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
Uh, no, that was a lot of fun, and it's a fun movie. It was a fun movie in general to watch. Um, I seeing the first one, the American Vampire, and then no one knew, or I knew that this one was coming out, and kind of the premise behind it, I was like, hell yeah, this is cool. You know, like I was excited for it. But no, I love the movies like that, the independent films. I was telling you back before the show, you know, I am a big fan of indie films, and for the, you know, like Jake said, there's a pretty large category of his films on Tube. You could definitely, if the weather's crappy out for a weekend, just sit down and start watching some movies. Be warned, Darkroom was it was twisted. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I was just like, holy smokes. Um, but no, I dig it. You know, the movies are cool. You definitely have a passion for it, and it shows in your movies. You're not afraid to put yourself in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, I've been told that before. So in most of my films, I have either acted or directed them, and I have become to the point to where that is almost all that I do anymore,
Yeah,
unless I'm in someone else's project, you know, like they book me to be in a movie or something, or, you know, I'll do it. But for the most part, most of the stuff that I'm in, I'll either act in it or I'll direct in it, just because I enjoy doing it so much. And I have a really fun time doing it. And, you know, it's really cool to be able to direct a movie that you're in, because you're bringing your vision to life is what you're doing. And in a
mhm.
nutshell, as a director, is you're bringing this really cool story to life. And it's really cool when you can bring a story to life where you're in the character. Now, holy shit, is it stressful? But
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of fun though.
yeah. No, I could only imagine.
Oh,
You know,
dude, it's
I get yelled at a lot from the guys because they're like, you do too much on the network. I'm doing shows. I'm doing behind the scenes. They're like, give us
yeah,
something to do, and I'm like, I got this. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's-
yeah, for sure.
until I don't got it. Okay,
Yeah,
so you brought it. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
no, no, I was gonna say, man, like you don't want it, but you do. So you know, that's just, you know, that's how it is. And if you're an
Yeah,
artist, you get it. You know.
yeah, exactly. You know, so you brought it up, and this was something that kind of intrigued me, um, because when we first started talking about doing the daylight to dark, and I was um, showing my then fiance, you know, pictures and stuff like that. One of the first things she said was, "Damn, he looks just like Scott," and I'm like, "Scott." And she said Eastwood. And I said, holy shit, he really freaking does. And then I start being nosy and creepy, and come to find out, you said it, you come from a, you know, a little bit of a family background in movie making.
Yeah,
You're a part of the actual Eastwood family tree, right? With
yeah,
Clint
yeah.
and
Distant relatives of the Eastwood family tree, which kind of, you know, explains my look
yeah,
that I always get. You know.
look, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I get that a lot. So, a lot of people. I done an interview last night, and a guy was asking me about it, and I was like, so Young is actually my real given name. I was like,
Mhm.
but you know, occasionally I'll use the Eastwood name, just, you know, like for instance, like with Daylight to Dark, which was so much fun. You get the idea that, okay, well, dude is definitely, you know, playing on that family legacy. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You definitely have that look. You have that family resemblance in the face, and some of your facial expressions that you make. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you sure you sure Clint's not your daddy, or like your grandpa or something? Because them genetics can't be that freaking strong. Yeah, you know.
yeah, yeah, I get that a whole lot. So, you know, it's you know, it's kind of it runs. I guess it's one of those that just runs in your blood kind of deals.
Mhm.
But you know, I enjoy playing that character, especially of Jonah Helsing, because you know you get to play on that whole legacy of the whole Eastwood thing, and then the whole
Mhm.
legacy of bringing that, you know, just that 70s and 60s cowboy era to life. That is,
Mhm.
you know, just that was such a cool character to play. And you know, one of those roles that you've kind of been preparing to play your whole life. because not only is it's not just serious, but it's got a lot of fun stuff with it too. So I
Mhm.
actually I based the character off of like I guess you would say kind of off like I based it off like some of the Josie Wales and High Plains Drifter, and then
Mhm.
I also kind of based the character a little bit off of um, Hugh Jackman's performance in Wolverine. You know, because he's still kind
Okay,
of
yeah.
got that cigar smoking, you know, tough guy.
Yeah.
So you know that's kind of what I based this character off of, and you know, Drake, our contrast that we had going on was just perfect. You know, because he's like this
Yeah.
goofy kid, and then I'm just like this annoyed, you know, tough cowboy. Which in real life, like we're nothing like that. Well, he is. He's
Yeah.
like that. I'm not like that, but we get along great. I think he's an awesome dude. He's an awesome kid, man. I love him to death, and um, we just you know our acting just it was so perfect in that. Like he was the
Mhm.
perfect choice for that role, and. If anyone hasn't got to watch it, Daylight to Dark's on Tubi now. So if you want to check it out to kind of catch up with what we're saying, I definitely would want you to go check it out. But man, that was so much fun playing that
Yeah.
character.
I think you know, even as a non-actor, you know, it's like to play a tough cowboy. Yeah, you know, I love Western movies.
Yeah.
And like I've always said, like I want to build a time machine so I go back to the Wild West and I want to be a cowboy, man. I want to be a cowboy so bad. Like
Oh,
I think that'd be
100%.
really cool. You know,
100%.
so
Yeah.
you know,
There's
even
a
as a non-actor, I'm like,
there's a
man, I would love to
festival.
play an actor.
Yeah, 100%, man. There's
Yeah.
a festival that's down. It's about a couple hours away from me, but I went last year and they've asked me to, you know, maybe show a film there or something this year. But it's a horror western festival in an old western town. And like
Nice.
everybody cosplays as like man, it is cool
Hell
as heck.
yeah.
I mean, you get to like they got a saloon in there, and you know, like everybody like goes and dresses up like these dead zombies and stuff. So obviously, me being me, you know, I was like, man, this is fun. You know, we should go. So, you know, I went down there, and everybody was like had these cool costumes, and then everybody was like, holy shit, because I'm wearing the
Yeah.
poncho and I'm wearing the
Yeah.
hat and I got the cigar. Everybody's like, I know that guy. And they're like, I was like, well, you think you do. Rollin, what's up, man? I see
What's
Rollin
up,
over
Roland?
there.
How
Yeah,
you
he's
doing,
the
brother?
best. He's the man.
Yeah, he is.
So,
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
fact. Oh, sorry, man. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, anybody who hasn't seen Daylight to Dark yet, when you get the opportunity, watch the cigar. That cigar has a very big role in that movie throughout the entire movie.
Dude, that cigar is almost like a character in itself.
Yeah.
Like if we ever done like you know got to the point where it was like making action figures, like you need Jonah Helsing's cigar.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it almost
Yeah.
kind of became a main character on its own. Yeah, like you said, keep
Oh,
an eye on the
dude.
cigar throughout the movie.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's it was actually it's not the same cigar throughout the whole film. Um it is a different cigar like in different parts of the movie. I remember the day that we shot with Tuesday Night. Um, how did that go? It was, I think it was in between takes. We had already done the part where, no, that's what it was. We had a couple different cigars in case, you know, one got lost on set. And, you know, while we were waiting on Tuesday, getting her hair and her makeup and everything done, you know, we're waiting to get started. I'm outside, you know, outside on set, and I'm just like out there, and I just start smoking the cigar. And everybody's like they're like that looks like genuinely like epic. And I'm out there, you know, I got the wig and the hat, and I'm smoking the cigar. I'm out there, and everybody's like, that's nuts. And I'm just walking around, you know, smoking that cigar, and it was you could feel the power inside of it. You know, it was pretty great. But yeah, I was smoking it at one point. I was just smoking the cigar, and it was it was really stout because I remember like like a few minutes later, like I walked in and everybody's like, bro, you stink. I was like, I just smell like smoke. And they're like, you gotta wear the same outfit for like 3 more days, right? So I was like,
it just adds
whatever.
to the character.
Yeah, it was getting in my embodiment there. Like I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
I think I looked at somebody when they said that, and they're like, you still got to wear that shirt, and I was like, you feel lucky, punk? they were, they're like, oh, dude. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But um, speaking of Rollin, who had just chimed in on there, Rollin actually just completed a new song for my next film, the one I just got done shooting called Soul's Chapel. And man, is that one going to be really cool. That one's actually based on a real life place. It's kind of got that more supernatural element. It's kind of an
Nice.
steampunky old time style film. It's still got a lot of Western vibe to it. Still got
Yeah.
hats and stuff. So for anybody who's kind of a fan of like Western-ish horror steampunk style movies, or if I don't know if that anything's ever been done like that, but it was a lot of fun doing that flick. I mean, that was a lot of fun, and I think that one is going to just be crazy. I don't know when it's coming out yet, but we're
Yeah.
still in the process of it. So
It sounds like it'd be. You got a lot going on, and I like that. There's a lot of different elements going into it. That sounds pretty cool. I like it.
oh, dude, listen, ever since a couple of, when we done that stream and we said something about a Daylight to Dark sequel, I've gotten non-stop messages from people like, dude, when is this happening? Like, when is
Yeah.
this happening? I was like, what the hell, guys? I was like, let the first one come out. I was like,
Let the first one simmer. I gotta get in shape before I come and battle you on scene, because I'm coming back for revenge for my girl.
dude, 100%. Like, yeah, that's sheesh, man. I've already I've had people already ask me about it, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
let's see, and I know Rollin and we've teased it a little bit, but
Yeah.
I could go on a limb and say that I think that would definitely be a character that will return, is the Jonah
Yeah.
Helsing. Yeah, so I
It's a
think
cool
that's
character, man.
yeah, I love the story. The story's just
Yeah.
cool as hell. He's just this badass vampire hunter, and
Yeah.
you throw like Drake in the mix. It's just I think it's cool. Be a fun opportunity and have a lot of really cool cameos in there. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, man, it's a blast. Making film. So I've been making film for, like I said, dude, like 10 years, and it's been a journey for sure.
Is it well, you said that you started originally doing, you've always wanted to do it since you were like a kid. You were doing, or were you just doing like little skits with like your friends and stuff, like, all right, guy, annoying the hell out of all your friends and like, hey, we're gonna do this.
So more or less, like I'd get my friends over, and then like I had this little video camera, and like we would watch a movie, and then I'd be like, let's make our own version of this movie, like recreate
Nice.
the movie.
Yeah.
And I made like 4 or 5 different movies like that. Well, I say, hang on, I made 4 or 5 different videos like that, because it was on like this old ass camera that had like
Yeah.
AAA batteries, and you'd have to lay it to the side, and like
Yeah.
it was like ancient, dude. Like the audio was so bad in it, and I think I done one. It was like we done like our version of like the Lost Boys. It was pretty cool. And then we done our version of like we done one of like Footloose and shit. I was like, what? Looking back, I was like, what was I doing? Like, dude, you cannot dance. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah. Like, what are you doing, man? But it was you got to start somewhere. And that
Yeah.
was, as a kid, I just had like a huge imagination that was so much bigger
Mhm.
than the places I lived and where I grew up. And it was fun to start, and it all just kind of from those moments is what filled my opportunity to make film. And now I'm making film. I've been in not only my films, but other people's features. I've been in TV shows. I'm hosting film festivals. I'm hosting the CreepyCon Film Festival in Knoxville, Tennessee, August the 1st through the 3rd. And this is the second annual one, and we're anticipating it to be pretty crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, man, it's
I,
gonna be awesome. I'm hosting it. I get to give out awards to other people who, kind of got that same mindset of loving indie horror flicks and broadcasting that. So I'm thinking it's going to be just really really cool. And I've got a con coming up in Florida. Got one in I'm actually going to one, I think this weekend. I'm just kind of attending, but there's several friends of mine that are going to be there, who are, as celebrity guests, people I've been in movies and stuff with. So it's really cool to get to watch these people growing up, and then, flash forward years later, you're working with them, like, whoa, it's insane.
yeah, that's wild. Brittany had asked. She said, it's kind of a two-parter.
Okay.
What's your favorite genre of films? But then she also asked, what's your favorite genre to direct and act in?
Okay. So my favorite genre of film, holy shit, how do you answer that?
Hey.
No, so my favorite genre, 100%, has got to be thriller films. I love the idea, and this is probably my favorite to direct and act to. But I my favorite genre is something that really pulls you in, like psychological thrillers. But I really like westerns too. Westerns are definitely, they're one of my favorites. So when you can combine those two, or you can have a film like something that Quentin Tarantino pulls out, like the Django Unchained or the Hateful Eight, or
Mhm.
just these really crazy things, or like Dead Birds, those get me like very excited. But as far as directing, my favorite type of films to direct has definitely it has to be a suspense thriller, because I will argue this. I was on a podcast a couple months ago, and it was with Casey Ryan, who plays Bridget in Daylight to Dark, and she was
Mhm.
on there as a guest with me as well. And everyone was asking, what's your favorite horror film? And I said like Prisoners with Hugh Jackman in it, which is not necessarily a horror film, but it's a suspense thriller. But
Mhm.
man, like that will bring you to the edge of your seat. So movies
Yeah.
like that are my favorite to make, because if you can convey your audience to get to feel what you're feeling, you're just going to be like, whoa. I mean, because
Yeah.
seeing people react, for instance, like when I done Undead, there's that um, there's a scene particular in there during the opening night of it, during the premiere at the theater, and this was with the audience that had never seen it before. I'm just sitting in the back of the theater, and everybody just starts like applauding at this certain scene. So it's cool to feel an interaction with like what people are seeing for something that you've done or something that you've had an idea about.
Oh, yeah. No, that as I was saying before we started tonight, that Night of the Undead, I kicked it on and it was like, oh, this is about podcasters. Hey, oh wait a minute,
Yeah,
they're doing something that I've talked about for the last couple of years, especially around Halloween time, going to like quote unquote haunted places and doing
yeah. So
a live podcast. Of course, nobody on the network here, everybody's like, no, fuck you, Glick, you're crazy. We're not going to, because I want to go to Helltown, which is a town here in Ohio that back in the 70s, basically the government just threw everybody out. It's a
yeah,
wild wormhole. Just type in Helltown, Ohio into your Google box, and it's a wild wormhole because there's satanic rituals and murders and a giant anaconda and government experiments and all this stuff. And as to why this town is, I mean, literally, the government came in and said this is all forestry reserve and just left and made everybody leave. So for years, all the houses, and there's still some houses and a church and a couple other buildings that are still there. And you can it's not on any maps, but it's not hard to find. But even like there's
yeah.
an old abandoned school bus where there's a local legend behind it that it was a basketball team or a baseball team or something, or band, whatever, and they broke down there, and then they were murdered by crazy Satanists and whatnot. And the bus is still there today. So I'm like, I want to go there one around Halloween to do a podcast, and everybody's like, nah, fuck you, Glick. This isn't Scooby-Doo Mysteries. You're on your own.
Well, thank you for giving me my next movie idea, Glick. I appreciate that.
Hey man, I'm here to help. Just give me a little, just give me a little blurb on the on the credit.
Yeah. Idea by Glick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually very similar to this film I just finished up, Soul's Chapel. It is it's wild about the real stories on that one as well. It's about a church that this is a real place here where I live. It's about a church, and it's supposed to be one of the most haunted places in all of the state. There was a pastor that conducted he was a double worshiper, so he was doing satanic rituals and sacrificing animals and stuff. In the church, and there's apparently hung himself or something. There's I've heard a million different stories on it, but it is such a legend here in the folklore that it was really cool to kind of play on that, to bring that to life in this next film. So and that film's definitely got that thriller suspense type of genre feeling in it. So if you're a fan of that, I definitely think this will be one you won't want to miss checking out. I'm actually really excited for this one to come out. And it's got Brian Bremer in it, from Pumpkinhead and Deadbirds, and yeah, he played the older brother, Bunt. The brother that takes the main character to the old witch. Wears the overalls. He's in it, and I'm actually going to see him this weekend at a con. So it's one I'm really excited about.
Oh yeah. No, that's that. Like I said, you have definitely piqued my interest.
Yeah, I think it's on IMDb too. So you can go on there and get the synopsis. I think it's when a drifter is hiking through the backwoods of Kentucky, he comes on a site that is anything but holy, is what it says. Yeah. Something similar to that. I might be off, but I just thought that was man, that's just a really kick-ass description. So, it's
yeah.
I don't some of these, it's how do you compete with that? So yeah, definitely Daylight to Dark. So far right now, that one's just getting buzz. And a fun fact, Daylight to Dark should be, I think it's this month, is supposed to be coming available for physical media purchase to all major online retailers like Walmart, Target, Best Buy. So you'll be able to get it relatively easily on all these major retail sites. So you should be able to get it there. Anybody wants to go ahead,
going to put them in the stores, or is it just for online?
I don't know. We signed a deal, and I'm not really sure. I know it's just going to retailers. Might be in a few stores, but I think primarily it's mostly online sales. But there might be a few stores packing it. So I honestly don't know. It's just one of those things. Dude, I just made the movie. It's I just made the movie. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. So.
I'll have to get me a hard copy and send it to you, and then send it out to Roland and have you guys sign it for me, and then I can put it up. Put it up here. My next step behind me is my wall of fame from all my guests and stuff like that.
Listen, I've got an original copy of the American Vampire Story signed by Roland Jewett. It says, to my good friend Jake. So
nice.
That is really cool. I've got it sitting in my office right next to the copy of Daylight to Dark. I was like, this is epic, so
yeah. No, that's cool. One of my former guests, him and I become actually really good friends. He's an amazing musician. He's got a lot of things about to happen. We went and seen him a few months back. He was at his hometown playing a little local bar. And he's a young kid, man, early 20s, but he had his set list on a piece of printer paper that he wrote his set list out and everything like that. And And we drove out. He was about 3 hours away from us. We drove out, spent the weekend out there, and when he got done doing his set, he was like, "Hey man, I got something for you." He freaking signed it, dated it, and everything, and handed it to me. I was like, "Hell yeah, this is going in a frame up on the wall, dude." I was like,
Yeah,
"Because
man.
one day when you're huge, I'm gonna have it." And this is an OG freaking acoustic set list. So that's the kind of stuff is cool. I mean, especially when you're when you're in the line of work that you're in, and you get to come across people that you grew up watching, or from movies that you've seen, or other actors that are coming up along the way and that you're a fan of, and then you
Yeah.
get to work with them, and you have that little bit of memorabilia along with, hey, I'm the boss. I need you to do this for me. I'm the
Yeah,
director.
yeah. I dig
Work
that.
in this town again.
Yeah. Like I dig that. Like because there's so many talented people I've got to work with, and like some of them may never do anything again, but some of them are
Mhm.
destined to be great. And I think it's so cool because usually every film I do, we get a poster printout and we have every cast member and every person on the film to sign the poster, and then I put it in my office. So I think that is so cool to get to have all those people I've got to work with, and to get to keep a piece of that history with me and
Mhm.
memorabilia and things that have happened over the years. And I get to keep that. I got their autographs. I got um, things from people who are just amazing people. So that's a really cool thing, and I can really appreciate you doing that as like as a musician as well. Because it means something whenever people are excited about your work and people are like, "We want your stuff," and it's like, "No, you don't want my stuff," and they're like, "No, we want your autograph. We
Yeah.
want you to sign this," and you're like, "Okay." And I mean, like that's like that moment of recognition that like I think you like when you make something and you've put so many years into it and so much work and so much
Mhm.
just like holy shit, am I ever gonna make anything out of this? That's the moment that makes you say that it was all worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the moment. So I can dig that for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole idea of this particular show, is to spotlight the up and coming local artist. And you're an up and coming entertainer yourself. Yeah, I mean, we don't have the biggest stage right now, but I'm a huge fan of, whether it be movies or especially music. That independent scene, man, I love it
Oh yeah,
because
100%, man. And,
you,
and that's the thing. Like there's so many things, like especially Hollywood right now. Like I've seen indie films that cost like $600
mhm,
be better than a multi-million-dollar movie that is put out by like Fox or something, or well, I guess
yeah,
it's 20th Century Studios or Sony. Which don't get me wrong, like those people are I love the idea of film. I love those things, but I've seen so many indie films that just like blow some of these big things out of the water. And it's like
mhm,
those indie people, that's what's, keeping this thing going. That's what's keeping it alive. Like last year when I went to the same convention, I'm going back to host the film festival again. They had David Howard Thornton there, who plays Art the Clown, and
yeah,
Michael Levy, who done the new Stream, and he worked on the Terrifier series, and those guys are the ones that are kind of keeping a
mhm,
lot of this stuff up, and I think that's so cool because those guys started out indie, and then it's just become such a national success, and
yeah.
I think that's super cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were talking. See you later, Brittany. Have a good one, girl. Uh, we were talking earlier before we started, about like the independent, movies and films and whatnot. And I said, I mean, I used to love, and I still do. Don't get me wrong, I love Bloomhouse, and
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that they started out doing. Go back into Bloomhouse's old stuff, man. They got some crazy low budget movies. Now they're one of the top horror movie studios out there, or production companies,
yeah,
whatever they are. I mean, they drop some of the biggest movies that come through Bloomhouse. But like, yeah, you look at like the Blair Witch Project. I don't know what their budget was, but it wasn't very much, and it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
I mean, they made stupid money off of it. Or
yeah.
the first Paranormal Activity. They had very small budget, and that movie blew up. And then I think they've done 35 different Paranormal Activity movies
Yeah,
since.
yeah, yeah,
which that's a genre of horror movies that I'm a really big fan of, is that found footage type stuff.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know why, but man, I'm obsessed with it, and there's a company that did there's a new film series out called VHS, and they're killing it. But that's all it is. It's just like an anthology of
Yeah.
found footage, and they've got 5 or 6 movies now, but they've all been just phenomenal. But like you said, Art the Clown, he just started out as, it was just a little short, like
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a small character that caught on. You never know when you're going to do that movie that catches lightning in a bottle.
yeah, yeah. And
And
that's what indie artists do, whether it's music, whether it's film. It's I'm big on supporting independent people. If I can support someone that's indie on a scene, I do it. Because those are the same people that support me. And
yeah,
I always try to go with people that I know are in the indie industry. Like I do all of my music. Like in my films, I'll have a friend of mine named Bo Haas, who Rollin knows as well. He does a lot of music. I'll have Rollin Jewett to do some music. I mean, it's all those people who are, they support indie, and they just make amazing stuff. Those are all the people that I try to support, and I try to support independent people. And it's good to have a good portfolio and a good rapport. But there's something about people that they kind of love the underdogs, and I think that's what the indie person is. We're all kind of the underdogs on that. So
yeah. Yeah, Bo Haas. That's Rollins told me a few times. I have to hit him up because I've listened to some of his music and stuff, and I know you talked about him a couple weeks ago when we were watching
yeah,
the movie. I got to hit him up to see if I can get him on this show, because he does make some really good music.
Bo
Um,
Haas and Cindy Lou, they do. They're a couple that do music, and man, they make some really great stuff. And like almost 85% of the soundtrack in Daylight to Dark was them.
yeah,
So yeah,
that's
there's a few that aren't in there that's different, but they done most of it, and they're even probably going to have more tracks in the director's
oh,
cut of Daylight to Dark.
Jake glitched out. We'll get him back. Don't worry. Or I glitched. Okay, I think I'm back. I think Jake's still glitched out. But no, guys, if you go on Tubi's a free streaming site. Are you still there, Jake, or did I lose you? Hey,
I
now
think
you're
I'm
back.
here. I'm here.
Okay.
I was
I
like waiting to do
Yeah,
this, and you open back up.
I like lost you for a second. It glitched out. I was just getting ready to say, um, Tubi's a free streaming site, and if you go to the search bar and just put Jake's name in there, Jake C. Young, it's going to bring up the movies, whether he's in them, directed them, whatever the case may be. There's got quite a few of them on there actually. Let me pull up my Tubi here real quick. One that I kind of want to, and one that I would like to find, and you'll have to tell me if it's out there anywhere floating around, because I read the synopsis of it. It sounds really cool. You actually wrote and directed it. Was Robin and Loxley.
Yeah,
Does that
the
ring a
Robin
bell?
Hood. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's that was a student film I done when I was in college. That was
Was
like
it?
my first. It was a student film I done in college, and it was my first feature. It was my very first feature, and it is kind of in the nether realm.
It sounds really freaking cool. I was like, where do I find this at?
Yeah, yeah. It was. It sounds cooler than it was. That was like a first ever like college flick, and dude, oh my god, the whole thing is like dubbed. So like it's like you see them say words, and then like you hear it differently than when they're saying it. Like the whole movie was dubbed, and like it was like my first major that I done, and they even played it in like the local theater down here. But
Oh wow.
that was my first like feature film I done. Like, you know, and I was still in college when I done it. That was back before I knew really what the hell I was doing. You know, just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, as you know, you might say. But it was that was one of my first major productions. It kind of that was the moment when I was like, I can make a feature, and then the rest just kind of started from there. Yeah.
I can totally do this.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
figure out
that
the
was like
audio
one of
later.
those. Yeah, that was one of those. It's like, if I can make this happen and if I can complete this thing, if I can actually finish it, I can make a feature film. And, you know, I can make a whole full ass hour and a half movie. And
Yeah, all right.
you know, that was the test. And I done that, and ever since after I done that, I've made different films, and I made a few different ones. Not all of my films are necessarily like indie horror. I done a few of them that were more like drama and stuff. I done one about
Mhm.
Daniel Boone. I done one. It was like a narrative. I don't know what the hell you would call that. It was like a cheap version of like a. Oh, you know what? That's better off just left alone. You know, that's in the ether. Let's not it. But no, I done one about Daniel Boone. It was like a modern version of like the story of Daniel Boone.
Mhm.
And that was an early on type deal. Um, Jeremy Boggs was in that, the guy that plays Renfield. He's been with me making films since I first started, since the very beginning of my first college film, the Robin Hood one, and ever since, you know, he's been in, somehow found a way to be in almost everything I've done. He's a
Nice.
phenomenal actor. Yeah, we've somehow, like, and I may not even consider him for the role, and like he just pops up, and I was like, yeah, that's so.
I was gonna say, I know when we were watching the movie, the props got a lot of love. Renfield's wig was a
Yeah,
topic. It was a big topic. Your wig was a topic that
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah. So like
there,
my hair,
there's Blaze. There's
yeah,
Blaze Renfield right there.
yeah,
No, uh yeah, the hair, the cigar. I mean the whole cowboy get up. Like, yeah, the movie's not that good, guys, but all the wardrobe and the props, they're
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's like just watch it for that, if nothing
Yeah,
else.
just watch it for the props. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
watch it, you
Renfield's hair, man, that was like,
know.
that just hit me one day, and I was like they were gonna make him wear a hat, and when I was like, nah, I was like, I see this guy, and the script said used car salesman, and I was like, you know, and then the first thing that came to mind when I thought that was like Better Call Saul, you know, kind of
Mhm.
that vibe. And I was like, this dude needs like some kind of goofy ass hairpiece. And like
Yeah.
it fits so perfectly in the film. Like it was perfect, you know, it's just
Nice.
funny as shit. And you know, it fits so well. I mean, he played that character so
Oh,
well, man. I
he
mean,
played it to a T too. Like he
dude, and
just
he was like, should I be funny? He's like, I'm more of a serious actor. I was like, he's like, should I do this? I was like, I don't know. He's like, I'm not trying. I said, that's perfect. Don't try to be funny. I was like, don't try to be funny. I said, you know what? I said, let's play the character more like he's just angry and pissed off at everybody all the time. He's just
yeah.
old and grumpy. I was like, and he did, and that was it. That was solid because you know he's only out for himself, and he just hates,
Yeah.
you know, everything and everybody. So, you know, someone asked me, they're like, so was he a good guy or a bad guy in the story? I was like, no, he's just Renfield. I was like,
Yeah, he's his own entity, man. He
yeah,
is what he is. He's just Renfield, man. It's just
yeah. And honestly, to date, I think that is probably my most favorite version of Renfield. And I'm not saying it because it's my film, just because it was
yeah.
so cleverly done, you know, that he's just him. And, you know, it's just perfect. So I thought it was cool.
No, with the newest with Daylight to Dark, you know, as a director, do you get to see any of the analytics and stuff, like, or in any of your movies, do you get to see the analytics and how they're doing and with streams or anything like that, or is that just
Sometimes. So Usually the way that's based is I know if they're doing well is usually I see analytics on like certain platforms, but sometimes I don't see it until it's like quarterly. And
Mhm.
usually the quarterly ones that I get to see is usually based on royalties that are deviated off of that. So that kind of tells me this was a good month, this was a good month, what was the quarterly, or just it all just kind of varies. But so far, I've not seen any analytics on Daylight to Dark, but I can say I've had so many people message me that they have watched it or that they have seen it or that they're interested in it to that point that I know the analytics on that have to be on a high scale because it's just
Mhm.
become such it's got its own little vibe to it. And so a lot of people that know me and people that are just kind of around, they'll watch it just because. So and when people watch it, I'm always appreciative. So I think it's awesome whenever it's on Tubi, and Tubi's free. I mean, it don't
Mhm.
cost anything to Tubi. You can just go on there, watch a movie, just sit through ads, and that ads. Nobody likes ads, but hey, that's how the little guy gets paid. So
Yeah.
support your starving artist. So it's like yeah, man, I've had a lot of really good feedback on that so far. But Daylight to Dark, man, is just like it's of its own kind for sure.
It yeah, it's one of those, and Roland and I talked about it when he was on here. Some movies, especially in the '90s, they just have that appeal to them where they get that cult following, that cult base, and it's like there was a couple movies that Roland had done, and I had seen them, and I remembered watching them.
Yeah,
And American Vampire was one of those, and I had actually rewatched it. I was like, man, I remember watching this when I was a teenager. And I
yeah,
told him that he was like, "Oh, you seen that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was great." And then I watched it again before I interviewed you, and I forgot how great this damn movie was. But that's
yeah,
Daylight to Dark has that vibe to it. It's like one of those movies where it's a fun watch. You can, I mean, hell, you guys go watch the movie on Amazon or Tubi. Then after you watch the movie, go watch our episode with the cast and crew.
yeah,
And
yeah. And honestly, Daylight to Dark. So for people that don't know it, it's like a spin-off of the American Vampire story. It's like a sequel type spin-off. I don't know if I would call it a sequel. It's more of a spin-off.
yeah,
But I thought for whenever, so I went back and I watched the film. I actually watched it afterwards, and I think between myself, my crew, and Rollin, I think we paid a lot of homage to the American Vampire because there were things in there I didn't even catch until after the movie that was like on
yeah,
point. Because like you got Moondoggy talking about his friend Vlad the Impaler, and then like you're like, oh, that's Vlad the Impaler, and it's like
yeah.
this they direct out of the same universe, so it's like it's
Hmm.
really cool that
You
that
guys
that, that
even played a nice little homage to Adam West
yeah,
and
yeah,
the Big Kahuna.
the Big Kahuna, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That was,
that was really cool.
Yeah, that
Um,
was that was a little innuendo, but that's what a lot of people ask me. They're like, "You have to watch the first one." I was like, "No, this thing is a standalone on its own."
yeah,
But there's just those little references in there.
hmm no, that's what especially since I had watched it so recently. When I did the first when I watched through the movie, I was like, "Oh, nice, well played."
Yeah,
I see what you did there.
yeah,
Kind of catch some of the things. And then there was other things where, even when we were all watching together, I would catch it, or you guys pointed out, and I was like, "Oh, kind of snuck that in there."
yeah, yeah. And then like you just randomly you have Bogey in there from
Yeah,
AB, from American Vampire. You're like, what? This guy's playing the
what?
same character that he played 20 years ago. So I thought that was really cool. Originally, get this, before Tuesday Night was the original pick for that part. Originally, that role was written for a guy named Tony. So it went through two actors that we were trying to get. One would have changed the whole course of everything, and it would have been from a guy named Tony who was a clairvoyant and a psychic who would have happened to have been played by, we were trying to get Danny Lloyd, who played Danny in The Shining.
Okay. Wow.
So, and his name was going to be uh, Tony, like Anthony. So that would have like set that in, maybe like unofficially set that in the world of The Shining. So
Yeah.
that was like the first one we were going with. We didn't get Danny. So next we reached out to the star of American Vampire. We actually tried to get Trevor Lesueur in there, who
Mm.
played Frankie.
Yeah.
One of the production managers is like best friends with him, and like I was trying to
Oh.
get him, and then so he declines, and I was like, well, holy shit. And then one of the guys is like, dude, I know Tuesday Night, and I was like, who? He's like, Kristen Parker, Elm Street 4. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. And he's like, I could probably get her, and so we got Tuesday, and then getting Danny in there to reprise his role as Bogey was just like, man, that was like bread and butter. I mean, it just
Yeah.
went together so well. And Danny's such a cool guy. He came to the convention that I hosted last year, and I got to hang out with him and talk with him, and he's super cool. I mean, he's a super cool guy. So it was really cool. We actually had replicated a photograph. At the very end, he was telling me, he was like, at the end of the movie, you see me. He said that was the first time I actually seen Adam West in American Vampire. He said, so my reaction when he walks by, he said, I was like, that. He's like, that was real. He said, he's like the
Yeah.
big Kahuna. So we actually took a picture where Danny's sitting there like doing that, but it's Jonah Helsing,
Right.
the descendant of the big Kahuna standing there. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fun when you can do stuff like that, man.
Yeah,
Especially when
yeah.
you can go back, I mean, essentially go back in time, and you're able to kind of play around and still throw references, but do a totally different movie in its own
Yeah.
right, and not be a complete sequel.
There is
Or
another picture. So originally during the processing of this, it got lost in the ether, but there was like a comic book drawing that had a young Jonah Helsing standing next to a man who strongly resembled the big Kahuna. And it was supposed to be in the movie somewhere, and it was like a comic book page cover, and it ended up not making the final cut. It ended up like getting lost out in the ether somewhere. But
oh,
I thought it was still pretty cool. It was
yeah,
still a cool looking thing.
thanks. So outside of the movies and whatnot, you said you got a con coming up, which man, Knoxville's like 6 hours from me. I could make that. Is that a weekend? Is that a weekend thing?
Yeah,
Or is that
it's
during?
August the 1st through the 3rd. It's the biggest horror convention in Knoxville.
Nice.
They have it every year. I've been fortunate enough to be invited back for, let's see, since before Night of the Undead came out and it was still titled Night of the Living Dead. That is
Yeah.
when I first started going, and they've invited me back in some capacity every year.
Oh
Ever since.
wow.
So
Hell yeah.
I've developed a real love with those individuals who own it. Really great people, and we're hosting a film festival down there, and this is going to be the biggest film festival. That last year was the first start of it. This year is going to be epic. This is like the first biggest one with this most interaction that we've had.
Mhm.
There's a submission, people can go online, fill out the submission to enter their film. And, I'm going to be there hosting and giving out awards for people who make the final cut. There's like 5 different awards they can win. There's like the Final Girl Award, the Poe Award, like all these things. And the
Yeah.
the main award is called the Ah Scare Award, like Ah Scare Award.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
it's kind of lame,
Uh,
but we thought it was fun.
no, it's fun.
So,
It's fun. It's different.
yeah, so I mean, and that's gonna be epic. I mean, and if you like cons and stuff, like definitely this is one every horror fans should definitely check out. I mean, they've got contests, they have stuff, they have a whole ass stage, and they have events going on the whole con. I mean, it's epic. I mean, it's really
I've
epic.
I've never I've never been to any con of any sort, but I've always wanted to. I
Listen,
just haven't had the
if
opportunity.
if you go to that one first, you'll want to go to another one, but be advised it will more than likely spoil you for some of the other ones.
So I just figure if I come down there and I drop your name, I get like free VIP access and everything like that, right?
Hey, they might just be like, bro, you here for the film festival? I don't know. They might be like, yo, you here for the film festival? But
I'm here to
yeah, man,
I'm here to see
it's gonna
Jake
be a
Young.
blast. Yeah, it's gonna be epic. I've got the one coming up this weekend. It's in Knoxville as well. It's called FrankenCon. It's like a sister con.
Mhm.
It's a really cool one. I'm going to be down there this weekend visiting. And then July, I've got one in Florida. I'll be at Fort Myers, Florida at Charlie's Comic Con. And then I got RCPL Con, which is in Russell County, Kentucky. That's actually where we shot most of Daylight to Dark. So I'm being
All right.
invited down there. So that's kind of cool to get to go back down there and say hey to
Uh,
everybody. And
yeah,
then
that's
there's
cool.
one. Then I've got one that's coming up in shit. When is that? It's like there's so many.
There's so
But I've
many.
got one. I've got one that's coming up in July. It's in Danville, Kentucky, I believe. And then I think so far there's the one in August, which is the Creepy Con, which is the film festival one, and it'll be in August. Um, and definitely, all these guys. I try to plug everybody, but sometimes there's just so many that go through the
There's
mix.
so
It's
many. Yeah.
hard to keep it up. Usually my summers are pretty busy. But yeah, man, if you get the chance, you should definitely come down to Creepy Con. And
Yeah.
it's a lot of people do like live podcasts and live videos and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's I think they're having a lot of guests from Supernatural down there this year, so that's gonna be
Hell
really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually revisiting Supernatural as we speak because I never finished the series. I was
Ah,
watching it when it came out, and I think I got to like season 10 or 11, and I just never got back to it. And now that it's on Netflix and stuff, it took me a year and a half, but I finally convinced um, my ex. I'm like, let's start watching this, and
yeah,
she was like, all right, I don't know, I don't want to watch it. I'm not going to get into it. It was one episode, and she was hooked.
yeah, yeah,
And now she's not here, and I'm like, well, damn it, I'm already invested.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
10
I know
seasons.
for sure, man, for sure. It was a great show. I really loved it, and it it ran like super crazy long because
Yeah.
I remember watching Jensen Ackles in Smallville, like before he done anything big, and he
Hmm.
was in Smallville. And then I remember watching the Friday the 13th remake, and then I see
Yeah.
Jared Padalecki in there, and I was like, "Hey, that's Sam." I was like,
My my ex-wife, she used to watch Gilmore Girls, and
"Oh yeah,
kind of like he was in that. And when I first started watching, I was like, hey, I know that guy.
yeah,
Yeah. But nah, it was a great show, and it's cool to see the guys do everything that they're doing now. I mean, they're basically doing a full-on damn reunion of Supernatural on the boys.
yeah,
Um,
yeah." I've seen
they're
all
bringing
of those. Yeah, they're
everybody
great.
back, and I'm like, let's go. I need to watch the latest season. I kind of fell behind on it. That's what I could be doing now, but now I'm going to finish Supernatural. I'm dead set on finishing Supernatural.
Yeah, I've watched The Boys, and that's one that you're just sitting there like, what the hell after every
the
episode. But man,
yeah.
it's a sinker because like you're just
Yeah,
like you get invested in that, and it's like
yeah.
I think that's part of what keeps people coming back is just because it's like so crazy, like it's so like
It's yeah,
what the
it's so
shit, yeah,
crazy. In the first season, it was good, but it was like it was tough to you had to like really sit
yeah,
down and watch, and then the second one episode that I'll never forget is the Hero Gasm
No, I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say it.
That is permanently fried into my head. It was one what the fuck moment after another in that episode.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
It is permanently
I
seared in
knew
my
that's what you were gonna say. I knew it.
of all the crazy shit that's happened on that show. That one episode has permanently been imprinted on my mind, and I cannot shake it as much as I
Yeah,
try.
and it's because of what was introduced like in that episode. I know exactly what you think of when you say that. It's that one character that has that one thing. Yeah.
One thing.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's actually I have a friend of mine, we were talking about it, and I was like, "Have you seen season 3?" He goes, "No." I was like, "Why not? I thought you were watching that." He goes, "Yeah, but after season 2, my wife won't let me watch it anymore." I was like, "Dude." I was like, "You have no idea."
Yeah, it was like there's no way they can out weird themselves. Hold on.
Yeah.
And when they first introduced Soldier Boy, Jensen at one of his first lines of, "Man, Bill Cosby could make a hell of a drink." I'm like, really? They went there?
Yeah. 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 I was like, that is Captain Not America.
100%. It's an interesting show. It's an interesting take on superheroes, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's stuff like that that keeps them coming back for sure. Keeps people coming back, which is, as an indie person, it's kind of that's kind of what we try to do with indie films. The
yeah,
crazier you make them, the more it's going to bring people back. So
yeah.
that's what keeps you watching our stuff.
Now, as I'm diving into your catalog, is there anything that I need to be warned of?
Not like that.
Do you,
No.
do you do anything like that? Like, like a shock and all thing, like Terrifier, man, that first one, and not that it got any, not that it got any better throughout the next three, because some of the kill scenes were just
Brutal,
completely, just unnecessary. And
Yeah.
and I don't know if you've ever seen that Winnie the Pooh movie. The first one,
Yeah.
the first one was just some gruesome, like, I love a good horror movie. I love a good kill scene, but you don't have to be over the top gory,
So that's one thing I will say about every film I've done, and I've made a conscious decision to do this, is I like the idea of having a kill scene and having that horror, and you can still maintain that suspense and horror without using so much of the red stuff. I mean, and that's true suspense. If you don't have to, the gore is not always better. If you just have all gore and no story, then it's like, what the hell are you doing? It's unnecessary, like you said, and it gets kind of boring after a while. And it's like, I was like, if you don't have a good story, and this next film I got coming out, it's probably one of the more gorier films I've done. It's got some pretty gnarly makeup in it, but it's got a good story to it. So yeah, I definitely think that's the one thing as a filmmaker you got to be conscious of is your films can be known for like all gore and stuff, but at a certain point, if you don't have a solid story, you're just doing it unnecessarily. So
yeah.
I definitely think that's a real factor.
That was the cool thing about the Dark Room. Like the one scene where choke that dude out. You didn't really actually, you just heard it. You see you see the killer grab him, but outside of that, it wasn't. And even the construction site too, it was just like, oh, well, you don't need to see it, but you know what's going on.
Yeah, and it's like so quick. You're like, oh wow, and it's like, yeah. The Dark Room, that one was well received because people were like, that's like kind of a mind fuck, like that's like twisted.
There's no kind of about it. It was a mind. I'm gonna have to watch it again. That's one of those movies where I'm gonna have to watch again because it's like my brain didn't 100% comprehend. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm so mentally fucked right now. What did they just do to me? But that character, the get up and everything was really freaking cool. I mean, it's like, you know, you have your horror icons like Jason and Freddy and Michael Myers and stuff. It's
Yeah.
kind of got that vibe, like a Michael Myers vibe to it, where it's
Yeah, like a masked killer. Yeah.
not nothing crazy going on, just a menacing figure that's creepy as hell, especially when it just shows up out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it makes me want to stay at home at night because or not
Yeah.
be walking around a you know, the back of a shopping plaza anytime soon because that fucking creature might
Yeah.
pop up.
Yeah. Yeah. Walking behind a shop or going to a construction site, you know, that was supposed to be. Yeah. He's like, that was a dinosaur dig. It's like, but yeah, man, that film was received really well by a lot of people just because it's so not what you expect. And then, you know, the ending is just like not what I expected, you know. And
Yeah,
I had people like, I wasn't expecting him, you know, to open that door and then find what he found. So it was,
yeah. No, it was cool. Sorry, I was asking my daughter a question real quick. No, it was like I said, it's one of those movies, and there's movies like that. There's been a lot of movies where it's like, I need to watch that again.
yeah. So
Uh,
that one was kind of inspired off some classics like Rear Window and stuff like that. Like
okay,
movies like that
well,
kind of helped introduce that.
yeah,
They
I was gonna
introduced
say
that
it's
concept.
yeah, it had that kind of like John Cusack has done a lot of really good mindfuck thrillers like
Yeah.
Identity or
Mhm.
1408, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. 1408.
I
Yeah. One of my faves.
yeah, I love movies like that. They're the scary thriller, just mess with your head, rattle your brain. I've seen Identity probably 20 times, and every time I watch it, the ending still blows my mind. Like I know what's
Yeah.
coming, I know what's going to happen, and it still blows my mind. I think Darkroom kind of will have that effect too. Like, all right, I've seen it, I know what's going to happen, but it's
So
still going to be like, what?
originally on the Dark Room, it was supposed to actually just come on with that opening scene where, you know, the guy's behind the shopping plaza and, you know, he's, you know,
Yeah,
attacked.
you
Um,
hear that? I'm like,
yeah, he's
well,
like,
what the?
stop it. Yeah. And then he's out. It's like, what? So that was actually how the movie was supposed to come on. And my wife actually made a suggestion. She's like, I don't like it. I was like, what do you mean you don't like it? She's like, it's just missing something. She's like, you know what you should do? I said, what? She said, start it at the end and then come back to it. And I was like, okay. And so when we done that, like, you're not expecting the ending because you think you already know what's happened. You already know this guy's
Mhm.
fate. So like, you know, and then
Yeah.
he's like, oh well, he's offed, you know, he's dead. And then at the end you're like, wait, what? Nope.
Wait, hold on a damn
Yeah.
second.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, no, I'm like I said, I'm excited to, you know, obviously being a fan of some of the work that you've already done, but also being a fan of the independent film scenes, and your movies are like right up my alley of the genre that I like, that horror,
Yeah.
thriller, suspense, and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, man, I just got to carve out the time and sit down and because that's the other thing I've noticed because I put on I put on Night of the Undead today. I just threw it on and I was doing a couple other things and I was like, I can't be I gotta, you know, because there are some movies or some TV shows you can put on the background and clean and cook dinner or whatever. And I
Yeah.
was like, I got it because I kept stopping and going, what the hell just happened? Rewind it back. Hold
Yeah.
on a second. Why is this guy playing a guitar all of a sudden out of nowhere? Which is a
Yeah.
really cool, you know, little
Yeah.
music thing. I'm like, what the hell did I just miss?
Yeah. Yeah. There's some stuff in there. And honestly, that's another film that if you watch the original Night of the Living Dead, the original George Romero's original
Mhm.
from the was it 68, 1968?
Yes, yeah, 68, 67, something like that.
Yes. If you watch that one, this one is works as a direct almost sequel to that movie. So if you watch that one, you're going to catch a lot of little things that are in and out of there that are from that original film,
Mhm.
that are little innuendos, like little Easter eggs throughout the movie.
Mhm. I like having like the the YouTube channels, the podcasters, the different YouTube clips and stuff like that. You guys kind of threw that a little bit on
Yeah,
Daylight
so
to Dark.
that
I like
idea
that.
just kind of hit me. Yeah, like the other guy I was working with kind of come up with the allegory. He's like, COVID would be really good, and he's like, that would work for like a good movie, and they wanted to do just like a straight like remake, and I was like,
Yeah,
nah, nah.
yeah,
I was like, this is a story I've got here. I was like, I've got a story that just hit me, and I was like, that's it, man, that's it. So
yeah.
as that just kind of developed, it just hit me out of nowhere, and I was like, that's it, and just which it actually, you said you got halfway through, so the lady that plays the one of the main girls, like the one that's her mom, there she's talking on the
Hmm.
phone. If
Hmm.
you look really close, that is actually the girl that was one of the girls in the bathroom in the first Scream movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Nancy Ritter. She was in Scream. She was one of the girls when they walk in talking about Sydney Prescott when she's like in the stall crying.
Hmm.
She's one
Yeah.
of the girls that was in there. So she played the role of the mother.
Hell yeah. Nice. You got all these little Easter eggs and tidbits, like little fun facts about your films. That's cool. When as a director and whatnot, out of curiosity, and for anybody out there that may be listening that may be like, man, I want to be a director, I want to be an actor. What are some of the biggest hangups that you run into when you're trying to do a movie or direct a movie? Is
So I will tell you, if you're an actor or director, I'm going to encourage you to probably start with one or the other to start with. Because when you're acting and directing, I'll even tell you to this day, there are things that I miss as a director that I do not pick up on to make my film as good as it can possibly be, to put those little Easter eggs in there. Unless they're premeditated and you know that you are going to have those in there, definitely start with one or the other, because my biggest hang up is you want to try to get those shots just perfect, but when you're in the film you have to find a really good, that's when at the point you rely on your DP and your PAs and your ADs and all these other, there's never just one person in a room. Like you see a scene with me is, for instance, in Daylight to Dark, when I'm listening to the gun there whenever I'm right before they come to the RV,
Mhm.
that was filmed. There's like five people in a room, and that's in a studio room. That's not in the RV, that's in a room, and there's like
Mhm.
five people in there. Everybody's making sure it's good, and because as a director you're depending on all those people to
Mhm.
help you create that vision. So if you want to be an actor, I definitely think that it's a lot of fun if you can find that niche to be who your character is. You got to develop who your character is and what they're doing, like why they're there, and get inside that mindset of like, I got to be this person. Like, I'm not me
Mhm.
right now. I am this person. And when you're acting and directing, man, those are some hard hangups because it gets really stressful. I mean, man, it gets like stressful trying to make sure, because that's another thing. There are certain things as a director that only you will ever be able to catch. Only you will only ever be able to pick up
Yeah.
on. Like, a lot of times I'm sitting over there listening to the headphones. For every scene I'm not in, I am behind the camera. Every one of them on Daylight to Dark. For every scene you do not see me, I am behind the camera. I am still there 100%
Mhm.
for every single scene. Standing there 90% of the time doing audio and watching and directing and saying, cut, okay, if you don't like, let's try it this way, and just that's one of the biggest hangups, because as a director, you really need to master that before you can focus on being an actor and a director. Now, I'm no way am I a master at directing, but I've learned what skills I've had to develop as a director to be able to do that and be an actor at the same time. So, you're wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah. So, I know the feeling.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
you
so,
know,
so
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Sometimes you got one too many hats on.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you can't. Jonah Helsing's got like 4 more hats under this one. So it's like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And then and that's another thing, man. Like you gotta pay attention to the shots and the continuity as the director.
Mhm.
You've got to think, how continuity wise is going to work, and eh, that is one good thing I will say about being a director and wearing your own hats. It's because as a director, I do a lot of my own editing. So when
Mhm.
we're shooting, I can actually shoot with the edit in mind of how I'm going to do it. So I can actually shoot to edit, which makes shots come out a whole lot smoother. Transitions look a whole lot better, and
Mhm.
just certain things, because it can be hard whenever somebody else is shooting and then you're trying to just splice it all back together. But when you're doing that with that already in mind, it makes things you do a little easier.
I heard that. That's why we just do everything raw and uncut around here.
Yeah,
I
that's
used to
right. Yeah.
I used to do that when we were first starting. I used to do that edit, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna break here, and I'm gonna splice it. I'm gonna splice music in, and then it's like, oh man. Then you listen back, and it's like, oh, I should have let that go another 30 seconds longer, and then
Yeah.
put the music in.
Yeah, and,
or
and
you
and you'll always be your biggest critic. I mean, I don't care
oh
what
god,
anybody
yeah,
says. You will find stuff that nobody else, like, man, for instance, like all of my past films, I still find stuff that cringe me to death on those. Like I'll hear a pop or a click or something that shouldn't be there, and it just like I got to get up. I can't even watch this anymore. And they're like, "What the hell, dude? It's your movie." And it's like, listen, like you will always, to date, always be finding stuff to correct yourself on.
yeah.
So you know the struggle.
I was just gonna ask you that question was how hard are you? Because I had to stop listening back to replays. I used to listen to all the shows, and I had to stop because I would listen to it, and I'm like, oh man, I should have worded this question differently, or I should have done this, or man, if I'd have waited just a second longer, that joke would have really hit. Got a better pop than what it already got, or whatever. And I had to stop because then when I'd go to do a show, I'm in my head, and I'm like,
Yeah,
all right, remember
yeah.
last time?
So a lot of I've learned as a director on a lot of really long scenes what we've had to do, and as when I'm directing and acting, I'm just going to tell you 100%. Things suffer whether it's directing or acting, because this last movie I directed it as well and acted in it, and the whole time I'm having somebody follow me around with a binder with my lines in it, and they're physically reading me my lines, and then I'm just repeating the lines, and they're being
Mm.
spliced together, because there's so much to cram in there, and also try to do
Mhm.
other stuff. It's really hard to remember all that stuff.
Ah,
So
jeez.
yeah, I've got someone physically, like a script supervisor, reading the lines, me holding the moment they finish, and then I say the line in my character, and then it's just
Yeah.
spliced from there. So yeah, movie magic. So
Yeah, yeah, but
I really admire stage actors and people that do stuff raw, because there's no saying cut in there. There's nobody to feed you anything. You gotta just do it, and then when you
yeah,
fuck up, you gotta own it.
yeah. If you screw up a line, you better hope you're really good at improv so you can save a scene or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I've had to run with them like that before. So it's just
Mm.
it's all a game that you have to choose. But yeah, man, I still pick my stuff apart. Like to this day, I still, for instance, I'm actually before I came onto this pod with you, man. Um, I was working on the director's cut for Daylight to Dark. I'm up there changing stuff that I didn't like on the original version, and going back and finishing up my director's cut.
Yeah,
This is how it was supposed to be.
yeah, right.
Things like that. Yeah. So like the director's cut didn't get released because it's like where it's so much longer than the theatrical version.
Mhm.
It's it was a big stretch. So with the director's cut, it's just I get to go in and kind of fix things that
Mhm.
I was having trouble with.
Yeah. Oh, if anybody who's ever seen Justice League and then watched the Snyder cut, be prepared for Daylight to Dark for the young cut. It's going to be
Oh
4
yeah, yeah.
hours
Oh, I
long.
don't know that I would go that far. Listen, I watched Justice League in the theaters, and it was so bad I couldn't even watch it. I watched the Schneider cut, and like 10 minutes in, I'm like, holy shit, this is what I needed. You know, it's like,
why was this not, I, being a comic book nerd and being a DC fan, like I was like, all right. And I liked the movie, but I was also disappointed by the movie. And then when that's, like you said, when that Snyder cut came out, I'm like, why isn't this the movie that we got? Why
right.
wasn't this the movie we got in the theaters? Day
Which
one.
makes me as a fan myself of those is like, what the hell did we not get on Batman versus Superman? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
because
Like,
that whole movie loved it, but it was so like, like it's like stuff just it was weird. Like stuff didn't
yeah, that,
belong and their motives weren't there. And then it was like, okay, if I seen what they done with Justice League, what did they not do for us on
yeah,
Batman versus Superman?
that Batman versus Superman, it was like, okay, they know about each other, and now they're fighting. Like, what's going?
What?
Like,
Why? Why?
the most disappointing thing in all of Batman versus Superman was
Yeah,
Superman saying, "Tell Martha goodbye." What did you say?
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
wow,
I think I like. I was like, yeah, I think I like the cartoon version better. It had a
yeah,
better story, but
yeah, like,
that's a price you pay because like my Daylight to Dark. I think overall it's a better film for the for a first watch, but for the extended version, the director's cut, it's one of those. It's not a whole lot different, but there's things in there that I can add that I feel complete things a little more. So yeah, it's just you pick and choose.
you gotta find a way to give Drake his memory back for that one night, man.
Yeah, yeah,
That one scene.
yeah.
What a great scene just to lose your, have it
Yeah,
taken away from you.
he's like, what the hell? Which I told you, ironically, Audrey wasn't even supposed to be in that scene. And then,
Mhm.
we had some fall throughs and I called her and I was like, listen, I need you here. And she was like, you better be glad I like you. And I was like, I will pay your same rate. I was like, get here. I need you. And she's like, okay. And, she showed up and saved the day because, she fit the scene so well, so
Mhm.
it worked. She was originally like, I think like we said, she was Vampire 2 or something, and then developed into this whole X character. So
Yeah, just
yeah,
which is crazy, just how, you know things can change so quickly and on a dime. So
100%, man.
for when you're filming on set, or like on location and stuff like that, that's something I've always been curious about. How many distractions do you run into, like outside, like a fire truck going by, or some random goofball walking by and going, woo, like right in the middle of a scene, or something
Listen,
like that?
if you're gonna ever be in film or expect to be, just go ahead and chalk that up to that's gonna happen. Like 8 out of 10 times that's gonna happen. Um, And honestly, that's why we use such like controlled microphones on the actors.
Mhm,
We actually, instead of using booms, we got to
mhm.
now we just put them directly like wireless mics right on the actors because that was a problem. You're booming and then you're getting like these stupid birds in the side or something, and then or like traffic driving up and down or something, or a dog barking. It's like, and don't get me wrong, they still pick up on those lavaliers, but
Mhm.
you got more to work with when the sound is just direct instead of, taking a large variety of, which actually, if you watch Night of the Undead, which I'm totally telling on myself live, in front of the whole world, but who cares.
It's just
But
on the internet. It's not that big a deal.
yeah, it's we used a boom on it, and like I'm not a fan of the sound quality on that film because you
Ah,
can tell it's boom because there's so much more extra noise that is kind of unnecessary.
mhm.
Um, but we used a boom, and that was back before we started using condensed microphones that are just on actors. And I want to think Darkroom was like one of the first times I used those condensed mics, and just audio quality night and day on both of those films. So
See, now I'm going to go back and rewatch all the movies and watch them a couple times and pick up on all the sound quality and
yeah.
try
Well,
to see what
granted though,
I.
with Dark Room, it is where it's shot in like an older style. Look, it's supposed to be on like a 50 millimeter. You know, it looks
Mhm,
like an older film. You do have subtle like grain running in the back, like that old record. You know,
mhm.
grainy style. So you may not pick it up as much there. But I thought that was a subtle touch. You know, it's made to look like it's an old film. You know, so
I was going to ask you about that, and I totally forgot. But hey, now that you brought it up, yeah, I was going to ask, was that done intentionally? But you just answered
yeah,
that. So.
that was 100% intentionally. Some of the people that I was working with that film, like the people I was working on with it, had complaints about that, but I was like, no, I was
It
like, I
fits.
feel that the whole film it fits it because the whole thing
Yeah.
is about film, you know, and about
Mhm,
developing film, and you know, I feel like it fits the narrative so much better than just making it like just a movie. You know, it's there's
mhm.
so much narrative there, and when you're decompressing the quality of footage to make it look older, you know, and it's done on purpose, man, you can get by with a lot of stuff. So it's like it 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 worked. It just worked. So
makes it makes it's got to make it a little bit easier in the editing process. I would think where you can just
hundred
be like,
percent now.
we'll let that slide.
100%, yeah, it helps. But I mean, it's still a struggle. But you know, when you're doing a grindhouse style film, you know,
Yeah.
you got a lot of room to play with.
Hmm. That's those you talk about raw, just uncut, just like
Yeah,
those old grindhouse films, man.
yeah,
I remember when I was first introduced to them, I was a teenager, or whatever, and I was like, God, this is horrible. And then I
yeah,
realized, oh wait, they did this on purpose. Okay,
yeah.
now it's not so bad. It's like it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and that was what I tried to do in Darkroom. You know, you'll see like little blips throughout
Mhm.
the film. You know, of like the actual like the film messed up, like going
Yeah.
through there and stuff. You know, so little blips on that just kind of add more to the aesthetic of the piece.
Do you have like any one director or anything like that, or a couple directors that heavily influenced your style, or what you do, or somebody that you looked up to when you were younger, when you're like, I'm going to do that one day?
Um, I've mostly all the directors came later on. I've had a handful of directors that influenced the way that I make films, and most of those came later on whenever I was starting to make film. As a child, it was more, I felt more along the lines of it was just more my imagination and pretending to be things. So it wasn't so much one in specific director as it was just a spectrum of ideas.
Yeah.
So when you're a kid, you want to be everything, you know. So that's what I said. They said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said I couldn't decide, so I wanted to be everything. So I became,
Yeah.
you know, an actor and a filmmaker, so I
I
could
was gonna
be whatever I
say.
wanted to be. Yeah,
Right. Hey,
and
this is a great,
that's what I came
great
up
career
with.
choice. Yeah, great career choice. You could.
I found a little snippet that they put in our local paper from like when I was in like kindergarten, like way back in the 1900s. It was like, you know, I find it and I'm reading it, and it's like it says Jake wants to be a scientist because the Hulk is a scientist. Everybody else had like, you know, wants to be. And I was like, yeah, that was totally
Yeah.
something that you know you never grew up, and like everybody's like, I want to be a firefighter because they help people. I want to be a nurse because they save people. Blah blah blah. And I was like, I want to be a scientist because the Hulk is a
Okay.
scientist. It said, I was like, I don't even remember this. I was like 4 years old, but you know,
Nice.
it sticks. So
Hey,
but you know, I
sounds like some.
had a handful of directors like Mike Flanagan. He's one of my favorites because he started out very indie and he's done some hella good movies, good
Mhm.
shows. I'm a big fan of his. Gramillo del Toro, Alfred Hitchcock. I think I even like Adrian Lyne. I think he's done a lot of really good films. They're not necessarily horror. They're actually like the romantic thriller type deals, but he's got a lot of really cool stuff in there. There's just a handful of people that's influenced me over time that I've picked up notes as they progress, but definitely Mike Flanagan's in my top like two. He's definitely one of the people that I've learned a lot from, and I've watched. Well, kind of like myself, I've watched his stuff progress as he started and just moved up the chain. From doing indie films like Hush all the way to like the Midnight Mass and the Fall of the House of Usher and Doctor Sleep.
Mhm.
He done all of those, and usually whenever I start watching a good flick, it was a real treat whenever I'd see his name pop up, and I was like, okay, I know it's going to be good. So
Yeah, as I say, there's some good movies in there.
yeah, for sure, man.
Midnight Mass is one that I want to watch. I haven't watched that yet, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. At first, you wouldn't think it is, but it's very interesting. Really, really interesting flick. And he uses Kate Siegel in a lot of his films, which a lot of people don't know that Kate Siegel is actually married to Mike Flanagan. So they kind of started doing like a
Ah,
couple duo type deal. Yeah, yeah, they started doing like a couple duo type of making film. So you see a lot of her stuff, and then when you find that out, you're like, oh, these people did start indie because they're just using people they got around them, and just people like that. So it is but they develop into multi-million-dollar Netflix films. So you got to start
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, exactly. No, you like you said, you just got to find that right movie that catches on and kind of takes off, and then
Yeah.
like you said, you guys have already kind of flirted around about a sequel for Daylight to Dark. It's one that we joked around when you guys were on the show with us about because
Mhm.
there's just like there's just so much more that could be done, like with your
Yeah.
character of Jonah, and vampires. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as you don't incorporate sparkly freaking vampires.
Yeah, and I like the idea that we made it so meta. We joked about
Yeah.
stuff like that. He's like, my sister gonna start sparkling in the sun. And he's like, you really just make a Twilight reference, and then you got like, he's like, hey, let's leave the corny lyrics for Taylor Swift, and it's just like, just it's very meta, which I loved that about it. So it worked.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of the references, although the brother and sister, that was borderline. I was waiting for one of them to yell out "Roll Tide" at any moment. That was
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's funny. Um,
it was like,
Yeah, it was like
uh,
yeah, Roland, I told you about the pillow fight scene. In the original
yeah,
script, they were supposed to have like this big pillow fight, and like we started reading it on set. Like we got all the way on set and we were gonna film this, and we get there and the actors start reading it. I'm in there getting my wardrobe and everything on, and because when you shoot, you have to do everything in like 1 to 2 days, all in one location. So you have to get
Mhm.
shots from like the beginning, the middle, and the end of the movie all that same day. So I'm in there
Mhm.
getting wardrobe, and I come back. Back in there where the actors were rehearsing. I come in there and they start reading it and they're like, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is weird. Let's just let's just get rid of that all altogether. Yeah, and everybody was like, "This is a little incestuous." I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
brother and sister." Like, I was
yeah, I
like,
felt
"Yeah,"
like
I was like, "If," and I was like, "Yeah, this is weird." And then like all I hear is like one of the PAs in the corner goes, "Stop it, step bro." I was like, "Okay, done, done, done."
yeah, you were one scene away from making a totally different movie.
Yeah, I was like, nope, nope. I said, we're gonna cut it. We're gonna make it meta. I said, and he's gonna say, I am not gonna pillow fight you.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, yeah. That was.
Mhm.
I think that was a smart move.
Yeah, like I said, that could have very easily turned into a totally different movie that would be on a
Yeah, it was.
totally
It was.
different streaming site.
Well, and that's what I was telling Rollin. Like when you get reading it, it's like it sounds cool on paper, and then whenever you go to
Yeah.
actually do it, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
it's like maybe that's
that-
not such a good idea.
yeah,
And he wrote
yeah,
it, and like he was like, yeah, he's like, you know what, it happens, and he was really
yeah,
cool about that. So, but yeah, it was
no.
it was sounded like a funny scene at the time, and then it just like when it came time to do it, it's like, okay, this is just weird.
Yeah,
It's like this
things
is
things got
weird.
real weird real quick. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we have moments like that all the time, man. In my head, or I'll think of something like, man, this sounds like a really good idea to do on a show, and then I'll hit up Blaze, and I'm like, hey, man, I got this idea, and then as I'm saying the words, I'm like, wow, that's dumb. And
Yeah,
Blaze will be like,
yeah, all the
yeah,
time,
maybe
dude.
yeah,
You should
maybe not.
try. You should try coming up with ideas for movies. I mean, you're like, what the fuck? It's like,
And I could totally do a movie. That'd be easy.
yeah, hey, it's you start planning stuff. It's like this is gonna be cool, and then you like start reading it aloud. And you're like, oh
Yeah, no,
no.
I couldn't imagine trying to write a movie or even directed a movie because I know how many times, like I said, Blaze or myself or one of the other guys will come up with an idea, and until we get it, until those words come out of our mouths and we hear it out there in the universe, it's like, yeah, please tell me I'm stupid because I can't go back on this now. I already put
Yeah,
it out there.
100%, 100%. Yeah,
Everybody agrees with me. I got to run with it. I know it's a bad idea, but
yeah, just one of those just do it type of deals.
yeah, just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks and see what happens.
Yeah,
That's like we have that whole concept on Saturday night where we literally put the link in the chat, and whoever wants to come up here on the panel with this can, and that happened purely by coincidence and accidental, and I was like, this could be really bad or it could be really good.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I'm pretty sure we've had 2 serial killers come up on the panel with us at different times. I'm pretty sure we're going to read in the newspaper someday. I'm like, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah, yeah. You
You going to
just
bed,
yeah,
bud? Love you. See you in the morning. But yeah, you're just like, fuck it. It's already there now. Now we just run with it.
for sure, man.
So, I don't want to. Well, we got a few more minutes, but I don't want to keep you too long. Outside of the cons, we got the movie, the new movie that'll be coming out eventually.
Some point.
Fight with a kid.
Oh, Rollin. Oh no. Listen, Rollin, I love you, man. He said, no, seriously, you made the right choice. What was I thinking? Listen, it sounded good on paper. It sounded great on paper. But then whenever we got to listen, look, it's the price you pay working with kids.
It's different when it's, when you're reading it on paper, you're like, yeah, this kind of makes sense. But then when you see the interaction, like, between brother and sister, and it's already a little bit questionable and a little bit suspect in the movie as it is, it's like,
I'll tell you what, Rollin, in the sequel, we have the pillow fight. Yes, we have found our epic showdown. It's a pillow fight.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's how you defeat the vampire with a freaking pillow. No, man. I truly do hope, because I have become, I think all of us I didn't know what to expect, but I have become a fan of it. The guys, Mike and Blaze, both fans of it. I think that'd be really cool if that opportunity's there as a fan to definitely see a sequel, see more. Like I said, there's just so much more that could be done, especially with your character. I mean,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that's definitely one. I can't say for sure right now, but I definitely think that's one that will be returning in the near future.
Yes.
Yeah, Rollin, you guys are sick. He's yeah.
No, it's like I said, this might be that film, for you. That's
for sure.
You into the stratosphere, man. Like, next thing you know, there's 14 sequels to the movie, and Jonah Hex does get the action figure with the cigar.
Yeah. Hey, it's one of those things, man. It's like you're gonna have like Daylight to Dark, and then you're gonna have like Daylight After Dark, and then you're gonna have like you just have like Morning to Midnight. You just have like all these little
not dark enough, just like Fast and the Furious franchise, just all these random
yeah, and then we'll have one that's just called Daylight, and then one that's just called Dark. Daylight to Dark in space.
Jonah's hunting vampires in space, man.
Yeah.
space vampires.
When I get to that point, that's gonna be one of those like where you have another actor that's playing Jonah Helsing, and like it's like I've become the George Clooney of Batman's. Yeah,
I've done everything I can do.
yeah. It's
Somebody
like
else take care of it.
I've done it all now. Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, man, like like we said earlier, you never know. And I think it's cool because not only from you guys and stuff, but maybe I'm in maybe I'm in the algorithm or whatever, but I'm seeing Daylight to Dark everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm getting freaking ads for it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so and that's cool. That's exciting. Hopefully the new movie will be successful too. Like I said, I looked at the synopsis of it. I seen it there on your IMDb, and I'm like, oh, this could be really freaking cool. Like this could
Yeah.
definitely be 100% right up my alley. One of those.
Yeah.
Can't wait till it comes out.
Yeah, that's one of
So,
those nail biters, man, for sure. For sure. It's a nail biter. But yeah, I definitely think there's a world of endless possibilities for future projects for sure.
I'm gonna have to get my I'm about to get my hard copy and then come to the cons and completely fangirl out.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. Hey, you know what I tell? The more the scarier. So come get some popcorn and come watch a movie. So can't go
just
wrong there.
just know that if you see a giant Sasquatch walking your way, that you're not in danger. It's just me.
Dude, listen, at a con, you know how like plausible that actually is to see a giant Sasquatch walking because there's so many people in cosplay. Like I'm just gonna like to see you over like like a zombie Chewbacca is gonna be a relief. I'm just gonna say that.
This is the most normal thing I've seen all day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
That's the guys all here. They bust my balls and call me a Sasquatch and whatnot. I'm like, I get it because they do the same thing to Padalecki and Supernatural, calling them moose and references. And I'm like, we're the same freaking size. We're not that big.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, they call it. They're like, yeah, Glick's our resident Sasquatch. Bigfoots are real. He's right there on your screen.
So you're just jealous of the beard.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Shock the world if I ever decide to shave. Man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Hey, that's got to be your that's the biker vampire gang. He's got the beard. Yeah. The vampires that return in Daylight to Dark. They're avenging their fallen.
Avenging my sweet Lilith.
Yeah. We'll call you can call it like Vlad's Angels or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. No, actually, we've talked about me shaving my beard before, but I want to do something for charity. I think I would love to do something around Christmas time for charity and do like a shave or don't shave type deal and donate the money to like Children's Hospital or something like that. Whatever raises the most will decide the fate of my beard.
Yeah. They're my wife used to do the locks for love, so she'd grow her hair real long and then cut it off, and then which is really cool because if you're going to do something that's like drastic, at least you're doing it for a good cause. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's really cool to do something like this.
My girls have done that, and I've done it. Excuse me, I've done it a couple times because I used to have really long hair, and I started a job where they're like, you can't have long hair. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. But it was long enough to where I was like, all right, I'll chop it off and donate it. And even now I just do I have that like quote unquote, now that it's trendy and everybody does it. This was the hairstyle that I've had for the last 15 years because I was able to get away with it at my job. They thought I cut my hair off. I just pulled it that like Viking style where it's shaved on the sides and stuff and it's grown out long.
Yeah.
So I've even cut this twice and was able to donate it since it was so long. But yeah.
Nice.
It's a nice, all about the kids, man. You do something nice for the kids.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm a big supporter of independent people, independent artists, like kids and functions, like people that have a hard time standing up for themselves. So I say more power to you.
Yeah, Yeah, man. Somebody's got to be there to stick up to for the little guys, the
Yeah, for sure.
underdogs.
Yeah.
You know.
Gotta rep the underdogs for sure.
Yeah, man. I feel that. I feel that 100%.
Yeah.
I'm big on on local, like buy local, shop local
Yeah,
type deal.
100%.
Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
especially if I can find me a good farmer's market. Let's go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, local, and big corporations, they try to stomp out the little guys, but that's community, man. That's community in
Yeah.
its rawest form, 100%.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like I said, that's where this brainchild came from. Was like, I'm going to spotlight guys that are, artists that are coming up, man. I'm actually
Yeah.
thinking about rebranding, and now that I've done this with you, I'm like, man, I kind of want to. And I was talking to Blaze about it. I was like, I don't want to step on your toes because you do the movie thing. But he's like, I'm not an interview guy. I'm like, I kind of want to rebrand Wednesday night to where I interview directors and actors and shit like that are from the indie scene.
For sure, man. Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
I think that'd be fun, especially after hanging out with you guys and having the opportunity to jack of all trades over here, Rollin. Does everything.
Hey, listen, man. Listen, it's same way as I think it is in music. There's all different kinds out there. I've met some filmmakers that are like, just like it's like
just out there.
There's some strange individuals, but it takes all kinds, so it's same with music, people are people, so
yeah, man, exactly, 100%. Like I said, I don't want to keep you too long, but real quick, let everybody know where they can find you on social medias. And why did I just say social?
Like you've been hanging around your kids too long, bro.
Yeah, clearly.
Listen, I get it. When you got little ones running through the house, like you start saying stuff, you're like, wait, what the shit?
About a month or so back, because I've got a 20-year-old daughter, almost 6. Oh my God, man, almost 16-year-old, and my boy will be 12 in July. About a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, the girls came up on a Wednesday night. We do like a what the fuck news, and it's just crazy ass news stories, dumb criminals, stupid people, whatever. Well, the girls had this idea that they wanted to quiz us on all like the terms and that kids use, like Riz and skibbity toilet, and they're like, so they came up on the show with us. And we're like, so do you know? And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like,
yeah,
what happened? Yeah. What happened to your generation?
Yeah, what is this? 100%. Yeah.
And in which they retorted about, like, shut up. You used to say things like all that in a bag of chips. I'm like, I still fucking say that. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I remember growing up, it's like, yeah, man, that's bitching. Stuff like that. And now you're like what? Like the stuff they say now. I was like, what the hell? But yeah, man, you can find me on socials. Just search on Facebook, it's Jake C. Young, or you can type in Jake Eastwood, or you can search on Instagram, it's Jake C. Young _official, or you can search my name on there and it should pull me up. As far as movies and stuff, if you want to type in my name or the titles of my films, you can find them all on IMDb, or just punch in my name on Tubi, and you can find my whole catalog there.
There is a nice little catalog of movies on there on Tubi. Like I said, you definitely keep yourself busy. Easy. And if you can't find him on social media, which I promise you, it's super easy to find him. Put his name in as like he said. Just go to our Instagram or our Facebook page. He's tagged there.
Yeah,
so you're already following us.
Absolutely, man.
Give him a follow. You can keep.
Follow Glicks for sure. Yeah, if you're watching this and you don't follow Glicks, like go follow them. Which I don't know why they'd be watching if they didn't, but it never hurts to throw that out there. It never hurts to throw it out there.
Yeah, exactly. No, man. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Always a fun time, man.
You are welcome back anytime. Obviously, when you find out about the new movie, if you want to pop in and be like, hey, I got the details on the new movie, man. Here's when it's happening, what's going on. Even your cons, man. We'll try to do our best. Tag us, throw us up in the comments. when
Yeah,
you
for
got stuff
sure, man.
coming up, we'll gladly throw it up there on the social medias for you on our end as well.
Yeah, man.
Um, and if you know any actors or actresses or directors that want to swing through the doors, let them know. I'm going to expand my horizons, and
Hey, man.
you know,
Anytime you need anybody, you hit me up. I've got a book of people that I keep on tap. So for sure, man. I would.
I gotta get my guy Drake up here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's great. He's great. Yeah, man. I know a lot of people that would be, thrilled to do it. But man, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a great time.
Yeah, man, definitely appreciated it, guys. Like I said, go give Jake some love. Go follow him. Go check out his movies, especially if you're into that horror, thriller, suspense genre. If you like them, like that style, you won't be disappointed. Check out. Go stream the hell out of Daylight to Dark because we want a sequel, guys. We want a sequel. Go stream the hell out of it.
Yeah, he's like,
Put the
he's like, I want a sequel, and I want to be in
Yeah.
the sequel.
I want to be in the sequel.
Yeah,
I gotta avenge my sweet angel Lilith. She did nothing wrong. She
yeah,
was just her nature. She couldn't help herself.
yeah. She was just going to try to eat that kid. What the hell?
He deserved it. He had it coming.
He totally did. Like, didn't your mother ever tell you not to get in the car with strangers? He got everything he deserved. Yeah.
Don't I get we're not supposed to victim shame, but I'm 100% victim shaming Drake.
Yeah, he got everything he deserved.
Yeah. No, man. Like I said, keep us in the loop. Let us know, guys. Keep up. Obviously, he's got so many cons. He doesn't even know where he's going to be when he's going to be there. So check out the socials for that.
Yeah, I put them up on
gonna,
there every time I find out.
Yeah, I've never been to a con. And being a big horror fan, if the Knoxville one is the jam, I might have to make my pop my con cherry and come down to Knoxville in August and check it out.
Come on down, and they're it's an event. It's horror, but it's one of those things that like you could entertain all ages there too. So it's got a lot of really cool stuff.
Oh no, this is going to be a dad trip. No,
yeah, dad trip. Yeah, I feel that. 100%, man.
I might hit up Blaze and be like, "Hey, want to go for a road trip, buddy? I'll pick you up on my way down."
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, hey, I'm game. Yeah, y'all just throw a flag and show up, and we'll have a good time. Hey, I'm gonna be there all weekend hosting a festival, so I'm just saying there's probably a really nice bar in my hotel.
That's one of the key things I look for in hotels. Either a bar inside or one within walking distance.
Yeah. Hey, I think this one's got a bar and a Starbucks, so
nice. There you
go. Yeah. You're down of the night, you can get back up in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's right.
Rise and shine. We got stuff to do. Brother. Thank you again, man. You're freaking awesome. Best of luck to you, man. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you, man.
Man, for sure. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It's like I said, it's always a fun time, and we'll definitely get together, and I'd be glad to come on for some more.
Oh yeah, man, definitely. You don't have to run away unless you need to go. I'm going to do the outro. It's just going to drop down, and then it'll come back up, and we'll just be backstage again. But guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you don't mind. I changed the game up a little bit tonight. I know it's usually Glick's House of Music, but for tonight we did Glick's House of Movies. Had Jake Young on here. Jake C. Young, appreciate that. If you're not already, check us out. We're everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. Shows live Monday through Sunday. We're doing something different every day of the week. Live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And you can also listen wherever you listen to podcasts at. That's what I actually need to do tomorrow is upload some episodes. So sorry, guys. I've been a little bit behind. I got a lot going on in my world over here the last few weeks. So I'm going to get all caught up. Blaze has been doing a fantastic job trying to keep us caught up. So shout out to him. And like I said, don't forget to check out the rest of the shows. I'll be back tomorrow night. Going to change it up again a little bit, doing something a little bit different. You guys have seen her on Saturday nights. You've seen her on Friday nights. Our girl, Brittany. She's going to come and hang out and let me crack open the head of Brittany, and we're going to learn some more about her. That she's a wild one, and so we're gonna change the game up again on Wednesday because that's what I'm always doing around here, man. Thursday, Wally will be back talking dinosaurs and dragons, and I don't know what Mike and Blaze are doing this weekend, but apparently Blaze. Or no, wait, that's next weekend. anyways, I don't know what they're doing this weekend, but they're doing something on Nonsense and Chill. And then, of course, we're back on Saturday. And hopefully we'll be back on Sunday for Unnecessary Roughness. For the sports show, we took this Sunday off. Rick was in Vegas for a work thing. Derek had a show that he was doing for church, and I just decided to take a nap. So we didn't do the sports show Sunday. And then Monday, Wally's back with all things motorsports. And then I'm back again next Tuesday with, who do I have next Tuesday? I should be already ahead of this. What is next Tuesday? The 13th. I have, oh, sweet. I got Memphis Key, country rock band, going to be hanging out with me next Tuesday night. So do it all over again. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for hanging out. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Roland, appreciate you, brother. As always, great show and interview, guys. Thanks. Hell yeah, man. You were awesome. Appreciate the hookup with this young man right here. I say young because I'm assuming you're probably younger than I am still. So,
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it.
You referenced the late 1900s, and I'm like, oof, I hate when my kids say that. I was born in the late 1900s.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
So, but nonetheless, we will see you guys tomorrow night. Jake, again, thank you again, brother. And let me hit these buttons. I hope I got the right outro because Blaze just did a new one.
Nonsensical network, different flavor every day. Movie talks, new flicks hitting the display. Microphone magic, musicians spill the praise. From reptiles to motorsports, burning rubber craze. Football clashes, touchdowns, epic plays. New spinning, catching on the latest phase. Gleaming cars, engines roaring up the pace. Street tales, urban stories we embrace. Tune in, every week diverse. Groove to the beats, let the rhythm immerse. Lyrics flowing, ciphers full of verse. Nonsensical network, feel the universe. Interviews buzzing, stars in the circuit. Worlds of tapestry, pieces we interpret. Hip-hop to rap, the flow never stagnant. Reptilian tales, nature's arrangement. Cars with muscle, engines with might. Motorsports roaring, speed in the night. Discussions heated, always a delight. Network of nonsense, but the vibe's just right. Tune in, wait for that beat. Flow so seamless, feeling so sweet. Urban grooves, rhythm from the street. Nonsensical network, always on repeat.